Hello, my name is John Monroe. I'm a cartoonist and a writer for a New York magazine called The Manhattanite. I lived here in this overripe house in Connecticut with my wife, who's a very wonderful woman if you have the stamina to get to know her. I don't.
Home, sweet home.
Our daughter lives in here with us. And our two dogs. I don't get along with any of them. In case you were wondering, that's not my daughter. She's upstairs waiting for me to help her with her homework. Well, I suppose I might as well go on in. I don't have enough money to go to a motel. Step into my world, and welcome to it.
Pajama time.
Oh, no, not Dad.
Come on now, hippity-hop.
You're just going to have to help me with my history homework tonight.
Hey, don't you remember? Tonight's the night your father promised to help you.
Oh, no, not Daddy.
No.
He's not with it. He's just not with it.
What do you mean by that?
Well, he's always thinking about something else.
Oh, he's not, Lydia. He's got a lot on
One
his
time
mind.
I asked him what 1776, 1812, and 1918 had in common. And you know what he said?
What?
He said they could all be divided by 2.
Certain frightening logic in that. They can be. Here, let me help you with it.
Mommy, we're just going to have to face it. He lives on the moon.
Lydia, your father is a writer and an artist. Now, they're supposed to be unusual.
He talks to himself. Well, he's up in that room of his, working on a cartoon or something. And sometimes he even laughs at what he says to himself. Do you really think you can handle 6th grade work?
I certainly can. Your father's a wonderful man, Lydia. He's just so wrapped up in his own little world, he hasn't taken time to get to know his own child. That's why I want him to help you tonight with your homework. It may bring him back to earth.
You mean you're going to use me for sort of therapy for him?
Sometimes I wonder if progressive education isn't getting a little too progressive. Where'd you pick that up?
Oh, Miss Skidmore was telling us about it the other day. It's the one we grow up will know how to talk to our psychiatrist.
I wish I could figure out how to talk to Miss Skidmore.
Can I have my history book?
Here you are. Now, look, Lydia. I'm going up, and I'm going to tell your father that you're just dying to have him help you.
Okay. But I still think a doctor can do more for him than I can.
That's the way it is, all right. Man against the world. That's quite good. That's really quite good. All right, where are my number 10 pencils? Irving. So, brother. Sometimes when my wife has a cold, they sound exactly alike. Would you like to see a picture of my wife? She insists that I keep one close by. There she is. Oh, she's pretty enough in that picture, I suppose, but to me, she looks a little bit more like this. I don't know if you can tell it from this, but I hate women. Oh, I know I married one of them, but there wasn't anything else around. There never is. That's how they get you. I suppose I love her and everything, but after 11 years of married life, my wife and I have developed a beautiful bond of misunderstanding.
Now, dear, you know, that just isn't true. Everybody says we're the happiest, best-adjusted married couple in the entire neighborhood.
See? Yes, dear.
Oh, John, will you ever clean up the mess in here?
Yes, dear. One of the reasons I hate women is you have to call them dear or honey or darling, and they get terribly upset if you're married to them.
John, you've been working too hard. Come on now, let it go for a while and come down and help Lydia with her homework.
Homework? Me?
But you're going to have to promise me this time, John, you won't let your imagination run away with you, or you'll ruin her chances.
Don't you remember that I hate children, especially ours?
Nobody hates children.
Except me. They frighten me.
Oh, now,
They are too smart, all of them. Have you ever noticed the way they look at us? I tell you, Ellen, they're planning to take over the world.
Oh, don't be silly.
And the most frightening thing about that is I know that they can do a better job of it than we have.
Maybe you're right.
Bubblegum chewers of the world unite. You have nothing to lose but your braces.
You have been working too hard every night until midnight. What's that supposed to be?
Well, as a matter of fact, it's Lydia. She can't help it if she looks like your side of the family.
She's not. It's just those braces on her teeth. The orthodontist said when they come off, she'll look beautiful.
Sure. One day he just snaps them off, and her teeth straighten up, and her hair suddenly curls, and her big feet get smaller, and she stops listening to those Aretha Franklin records and Aristotle Onassis IV, or somebody comes knocking at the door and asking for her hand in marriage.
Possibly.
Well, I've got news for him. He can have her.
Oh, John, stop being silly. If you ever took the time to get comfy with your own daughter, she'd look lovely to you.
We just don't have anything in common. Take the international situation. I don't want to discuss it, but she does.
Well, that's why I thought helping her with her homework might be a good way to establish communication, John.
Homework?
John, you're going to have to get close to her, and you're never going to get close to a child by pretending to be superior. Oh, no, indeedy.
I hate women because they have brought into the currency of our language such expressions as comfy and, yes, indeedy, no, indeedy, all righty, and 100 others just like...
Will you finish that drawing quickly and come down?
Yes, indeedy.
All righty.
It took a little doing, but he's coming to help you.
The things I do for my family.
Lydia, try to be nice to him. He's very new at this business.
Well, I've only been at it 10 years myself.
I know, dear. You're 10 years ahead of him, so give him a little kindness, a little understanding.
Everybody all settled and ready to do their homework?
Here's my history book. And don't worry about a thing. I mean, what difference does it make if I flunk one course?
Since when has this child had that defeatist attitude?
Oh, I would say since 1776, 1812, and 1918.
Oh. She told you.
Yes, indeed. Good nighty.
You really want me to help you with this homework?
Yes, of course I do.
Cross your heart and hope to die?
That doesn't really work, you know.
I knew a witch once who cast a spell by using...
Please, let's stick to the facts.
Facts.
Facts. There are no witches and there are no spells.
You've got an awful lot of J. Edgar Hoover in you.
Thank you.
Oh, it won't work. It just won't work.
What?
Us.
I know.
What'll we do, J. Edgar?
Well, why don't you just sit down and wait a few minutes, and then you can leave, and I'll tell you help.
Excellent idea. $888, 906, 959.
What?
That's 1776, 1812, and 1918 divided by 2. I have been working on it.
Why?
Because it's there.
Daddy,
Hmm?
you know what Miss Skidmore says?
No?
She says you must have some kind of a problem. Did you hate your father?
It was about even.
I'll bet.
But everyone has some kind of a problem. Particularly if they have any imagination. And imagination is what makes life tolerable.
Wish I knew something to make history tolerable.
What do you mean? What kind of history?
Well, we have to make some story about the Civil War. It's so dull I could die. General Ulysses S. Grant. Oh, brother.
There was nothing dull about Ulysses S. Grant.
It wasn't?
He was a very great general.
Really?
Oh, he might have taken an occasional nip or two, but I think in wartime that's understandable.
Well, Miss Gilmore wants us to make up some stupid composition about General Lee surrendering to him at Appomattox, as if we were there and... He took an occasional what?
A jolt, snort, pick me up. You know, medicinal stimulant.
Our General Grant?
Story goes that he went through the entire Civil War unscathed, but he did have 6 bottles of Kentucky bourbon shot right out from under.
Daddy, will you write my composition about General Grant for me?
Well, that wouldn't be exactly fair, would it?
Well, it's not supposed to be fair. It's just supposed to get me an A.
You were asking me to strike at the very vitals of the establishment. Homework.
Oh, gee.
However, maybe I can give you an idea or two that will help you imagine something on your own.
For instance?
All right. Now then, about this surrender business. Let's suppose that General Grant had taken a little bit too much,
Medicine? To pick himself up?
Dean Martin himself couldn't have put that better exactly.
That'd be fun to imagine.
I don't know that your mother would quite approve, but...
Well, she's got a lot of J. Edgar Hoover in her.
All right. April 9th, 1865. General Ulysses S. Grant was asleep in his hammock. Union Headquarters, Courthouse, Appomattox.
You don't draw very well, do you?
Don't bite the hand that signs your report card. Now, these are confidential notes from spies blowing about the floor in the breeze. Corporal Schultz, the general's aide, is about to enter through this door. What'd I tell you?
General baby, Ulysses.
Goodbye. Go, give out.
Pardon, sir, but this is the day of surrender.
Go away.
Fall out.
Nobody in the history of the whole wide world has ever surrendered before London. Doesn't he know? Doesn't he know that an army only surrenders on its stomach? Oh, so my head. Where's my sword, boy?
Oh, here it is, sir. There seems to be shaving cream on it. How come?
Yours not the reason why. What I need is a little drink.
I don't think it was.
Schultz, didn't you ever hear what Lincoln said when he heard the rumors?
What rumors, sir?
Find out what Grant's drinking and give some to all the rest of my generals. King Hut. That's what Lincoln thinks of my drinking. Hoof steps.
It's General Lee and his dad.
Well, show him in, Schultz, and see what the boys in the back room will have.
General Robert E. Lee, commanding the Army of Northern Virginia.
Well, Bob. Hi, General. Schultz, get another glass.
I should like to finish this as soon as possible.
In that case, get a straw.
The surrender, sir, the surrender.
All right, Schultz, never mind. There. Very well, General. Let's get on with it. There you are. Well, go on, Teddy. We darn near licked you. If I'd been feeling better, we would have licked you, too. Ow!
I imagine your men would like to keep their horses for the spring planting.
And there is General Robert E. Lee at the moment of surrender.
That's much better than the way we have it in our history book.
I think so, too.
Daddy, will you help me with my homework every night?
If you want me to.
I don't think you have some kind of a problem.
You know, I'll bet when they finish straightening those teeth, your hair will be curly. And you'll look like Greta Garbo did when I was a little boy. And if Aristotle Onassis IV comes around asking for your hand, he'd better bring some reference. And a little money. Good night.
Good night, Daddy.
Why, but when I came home the next afternoon, I sensed something ominous.
And the teacher said, who wants to read her composition first? And Lydia raised her hand, and she stood up in class and read that composition about General Ulysses S. Grant getting drunk.
She did.
She did, John. She certainly did. I just don't see how you could tell her those things.
Well, I certainly never meant for her to repeat it. I mean, I just gave her to her as an example.
An example of what, John?
I feel just terrible. I didn't mean to get her in any trouble.
Trouble? My phone's been ringing all day long from mothers extending me their sympathy. They all think that you...
What?
Well, all I know is here's a number for you to call. Alcoholics Anonymous.
The way things are going, it might come in handy.
And furthermore, John, Miss Skidmore, Lydia's history teacher, is coming over here to have a talk with you.
Oh, no. I can't take a Miss Skidmore right now.
You're going to have to take her for Lydia's sake.
Well, what am I supposed to say to her? I mean, imagine that kid, huh? Standing right up in class like that. What am I going to say to her?
Well, you'd better think of something. Because there she is.
What do you say to a dried-out elementary school teacher? Miss Skidmore, my daughter, is... See here, Skidmore. My daughter is not.
John? This is Miss Skidmore. How do you do? She has a great deal to say to you about the disgraceful occurrence in her classroom, for which you are responsible. Now, I'm going to leave you two completely alone.
Why, Miss Skidmore, you're not quite the way I pictured you, but perhaps that will make this a bit easier. I would like to explain to you that I am completely responsible for my daughter's composition about General Grant. It was I, and I alone, who put the thoughts in her head. She is not to blame. I am. It's all my fault. What can I do to make it right?
How about pouring me a little snort? Oh, dear, you don't think I'm angry, do you? You don't know what a pleasure it is to meet a man with a little imagination after those stuffy old male teachers I have to associate with all day long. They teach biology.
Oh, I know exactly what you mean. There we are.
Why don't we sit down on the sofa and get comfy?
I've never liked that word comfy before, but somehow it sounds quite attractive.
I think it's more important for my students to learn to use their little minds than to absorb a lot of dreadful old facts, don't you?
Oh, yes. Yes, indeedy.
Your hair is a wonderful shade of dingy brown. Did anyone ever tell you that?
My wife doesn't understand me.
Really?
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 Miss Skidmore, don't be like all the rest.
But you don't know how rare it is to meet a man with a little poetry in his soul. Imagination. A man of such...
Sensitivity is the word you're fumbling for, I believe.
Oh, dear, we mustn't. I'm an elementary school teacher.
I can be just as elementary as you can.
Oh, no, I must not break the unwritten law.
Well, we can write it down and erase it later, you see.
Think of the neighbors.
Let them find their own girl.
John, please, suppose your wife should see you like this.
She'll just have to wait her turn.
John!
Come here.
John, this is Miss Skidmore.
Nonsense. This is Miss I've done it again. Fainting was the coward's way out, but I almost took it. I spent the next 10 minutes making things worse before I escaped and left her with Ellen. The only thing I salvaged from the whole miserable afternoon was the idea for this sketch.
I don't know what it means either. I guess I have some sort of problem. But at least it gives me the excuse to stay up here while Miss Skidmore and my wife barbecue me for tea.
I had absolutely no choice. Once she read the class that insulting composition on General Grant.
And if I'd been feeling better, I would have licked you.
Imagine. So, of course, I had her write, "I am a liar" on the blackboard.
You had her do what?
I had Lydia write, "I am a liar" on the blackboard 200 times in front of the class.
Oh, well, no wonder she was crying when she came home from school.
Well, I'm sorry, but I'm sure she's learned a valuable lesson. Of course, I did explain to the class that her father is unstable and drinks. I admire you so for putting up with him, never complaining.
Where are my cigarettes?
John, did you say goodnight to Lydia?
I wouldn't dare. Did you see the way she looked at me when she came in and saw me talking to Miss Skidmore?
Well, I just had a long talk with Miss Skidmore myself. Did you know she made Lydia write "I am a liar" 200 times on the blackboard?
I wouldn't blame Lydia if she never spoke to me again. But I thought it was important for a little girl to learn to use her imagination. She's a little girl for such a little while. Well, you wouldn't understand.
No, indeedy.
Daddy, won't you please come down and tell me how George Washington fell into the Delaware?
But I thought...
Don't let Mommy see you. She has no imagination.
Well... They were rowing silently toward the Jersey shore when suddenly the lookout cried, "Trenton, dead ahead," which wasn't exactly true because even in those days, Trenton was a pretty lively little town. Matter of fact, that's why it happened. You see, General Washington stood up in the boat to try to catch a glimpse of a certain barmaid in a certain tavern.
It's Mother.
Anything wrong?
No, dear. I was just, waiting for you to chase me up on the bookcase.
Are we going to finish my homework?
That is the end of your homework for tonight, Lydia. And the beginning of mine.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for being with us tonight.